Let's start with a quick view of what's happened recently with the Google Developer Platform, also known as the TLDR. User identity has gotten a lot easier with the latest release of Google Play services. We've revamped sign-in to make implementations simpler and provide users a more streamlined experience. Other updates touch Smart Lock APIs, the Fuse, the location provider, and app invites. Magnus is on the show today to tell us more.
Hej på dig!
Hey på dig också. More than 19,000 organizations are now testing or using Android for work, which makes it easier and safer for employees to use their own Android devices for work. Important bug and crash fixes are in place with the latest release of the Android Support Library, available now. Find success with your app or game business with Google Play. This is the goal behind a new playlist of videos from our annual developer event, Playtime 2015. The Android Dev Summit is just around the corner. If you can't make it in person, remember to tune in to the live stream November 23rd and 24th. Also, the Chrome Dev Summit has wrapped, and if you weren't able to make it in person, that's okay. All the sessions are available online. Splash screens for web apps launched from the home screen on Android, and script execution deferring are two big things launching with Chrome 47 on December 1st. Pete is on the show today to tell us what we need to pay the most attention to for that launch.
Hej på dig!
Hey på också.
Det var riktigt bra. Mycket nära.
Compound bindings, as well as effective children and distributed node observers, are the two significant features included in the latest release of Polymer. The Google Maps API meetups and hackathons will continue with the Europe version of Code the Road. You can sign up today to find out what's possible with the Google Maps APIs. Follow the link to this and everything mentioned in the TLDR in the description below. I'm Timothy Jordan, and this is The Developer Show. You've probably been wondering what runtime permissions on Android M mean for you. Well, here's Rado to explain it all in a segment we call Who's Doing What Now?
I heard Android 6 is out. It's mostly what, just kind of a bunch of bug fixes?
Wait, are you calling doze mode and runtime permissions a couple of bug fixes?
I don't know. Yes?
It's gonna be freaking huge!
Wait, so hold on. Who's doing what now?
Don't let that happen to you. I'm Rajat Monga, and this is Who's Doing What Now.
What is that about?
Until now, apps have had to ask permission for every device feature that they may need to use before you've even installed it.
Hey Rado, before we can interact, I'd just like you to sign a few things that I may want to do. So I'd like to take your picture. I'd also like to know your exact location, your recent calls, and of course all of your friends and their contact information. So if you could just...
Hard pass. This sort of approach made a lot of sense back when each app served one specific purpose. A camera app that wants to take your photo, a concierge app that wants to know where you are, or a replacement dialer that needs to know your contacts and your most recent calls. These days, apps have found all sorts of innovative ways to take advantage of many of the sensitive features and sensors on a device, and users want to decide which features to take advantage of and what information they're willing to share. When you target Android 6, API level 23, you need to check every time you perform an operation that requires user permission, as users can revoke permission at any time. If you don't have permission yet, you can request it, optionally showing a rationale explaining why you need it. This will ask the user for permission, which they can accept or deny. And you can see the results in this callback. Of course, it's good practice to fail gracefully if permission is not granted and to only ask for permissions you really need. Users potentially denying dynamic runtime permissions. That's who's doing what now.
Google Play Services 8.3 is out in the wild, and on the show today to tell us all about it is Magnus.
Hey!
It's okay. I asked Magnus to use his indoor voice on the show today. And there's no launcher. It's dangerous in the studio. But you know what? We can talk about Google Play Services. In fact, let me just count them. There's 4 people in the audience that haven't seen your videos yet. So if you could just, in a nutshell, what are Google Play Services?
Of course. Google Play Services is about 21 APIs that sits over the Android platform. So it contains things like Google Map, Google Drive, Google Fit, and the Vision API, for example.
Cool.
And it's completely disconnected from the Android releases. So we can actually push Google Play services out to the external developer audience 5 or 6 times per year. So that means we can create a lot of information and get that available to developers very, very quickly.
Awesome. Now in 8.3, what's like the one thing that people should pay attention to?
So the one thing in 8.3 specifically is the sign-in API. So the sign-in API has been completely refactored in 8.3, whereas previously it was tightly connected to the Google API client. It has now been broken out and refactored into a separate API. And that means that you can connect new APIs, you can change the scopes without having to reconnect the entire Google API client. That's managed completely separately in the Google Sign-in API instead. So that's a great new feature. It allows developers to write code which is a lot cleaner and easier to read.
Great. Google Play Services 8.3. Sweet. Earlier today, I tracked down the tech lead of TensorFlow to get some more details about machine learning, TensorFlow, and how you can use it in your apps. So I managed to track down Rajat. He is on the Google Brain team, and he's the TL for TensorFlow. Rajat, hello.
Hi.
Okay, so TensorFlow is an open source toolkit for machine learning. Now I'm hoping that you can give us a little bit more insight for our developers out there about machine learning and why TensorFlow is so cool. So let's start with machine learning. Give us kind of in a nutshell for app developers, not for researchers or academics, but for app developers, what is machine learning?
So if you think about how you might teach a 2-year-old what different things are, let's say cats and dogs, you would show them pictures of cats and you would show them pictures of dogs and tell them what each is. And then over time they'll learn to recognize those automatically. Well, you can do the same thing with computers as well, and that's really what machine learning helps with. So for example, you could have 1 million images and take those and sort of some of dogs, some of cats, some of cows, and so on. And once you train a model with that, the computer can learn to recognize what is cat, what is dog. If you show it a new images, they'll be able to tell what it is. So images is one area, but you can really use that to make all kinds of applications smarter, to help them automatically pick up the things that the user wants before the user having to specify exactly what. It's used in many, many different products that you're probably used to. For example, the one I like to talk about the most is Google Photos. If you go
Cool.
It is.
Show me photos of a bike. That's all my bike photos, or whatever it is.
Exactly, and this is the technology being used there.
What's the workflow from, say, like idea to it's in an app?
Yeah. So if you think about researchers, what they like to do is they have new ideas that they want to try out, right? Maybe on their data set and build a new model.
Yeah.
And what TensorFlow allows them to do is it's really flexible for them to build their model and specify it exactly as they like and train it, right? And then once they're done with that, the app developer can take that trained model, use the same library, same API, and deploy it on servers in the data center or in their application on the mobile phone. We aim to release real working models for a lot of those, right? Where we provide the model specification that somebody could use to train on their data set. And in some cases actually pre-trained on data sets that are available, for example, for images that can really be used by the developers.
Thank you for taking time out today, and of course, thank you for working on TensorFlow.
Thank you.
And that's a closer look at TensorFlow. Please check it out and tell us how you use it in your app. Hey, Pete, Chrome 47, what are the 2 biggest things we need to pay attention to?
Well, there's always new stuff with Chrome. The 2 biggest ones that I'm most excited about are splash screens and request idle callback.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
Yeah, tell me about it. Some of these API names are...
A lot of letters in those identifiers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Splash screens for apps that users have added to their home screen provide a new dynamically generated splash screen when they're launched. In the past, if you launched an app from the home screen, you just got
like the app loading and it loads the web page after that, and it's just...
And all the user saw while all that stuff was happening was a white screen. It was boring, it didn't look like an installed app or anything like that. Well, now Chrome will automatically, dynamically generate those splash screens using the manifest file. It looks for 3 things. It looks for the app name, it looks for a background color, and it looks for a set of icons. Now, the icons get a little bit tricky because it's looking for ideally a 128 device pixel icon.
Device pixels,
Device
web,
pixel,
web.
us web developers don't do device pixels all that well. So what you need to know, the easiest way to do it is take the 128, make sure you've got a 128 times 1.5 to give you the 1.5x devices, times 2, so 256 CSS pixels for the 2x devices, times 3, and times 4. And that'll pretty much cover all your devices. And then, voila, you've got a splash screen.
Great, so splash screen. What's the next one?
Yep. Request idle callback essentially lets you say, hey, I've got JavaScript that I need to run when the system is in idle. If you're running JavaScript while the user's doing something, if they're scrolling or while something else is going on, you're going to get jank. Request idle callback is run when the device is not doing anything. So it's a real easy way to say, hey, this is not the most important JavaScript. Let's go run this when we've got some time.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Chrome 47.
Chrome 47.
Thanks,
Out
Pete.
soon. Thanks.
We're nearly at the end of our show for today, but I have one final question for the panel. Pete, what happens when you break the build?
I've never broken the build. Not Web Fundamentals has always been perfect.
Magnus, what happens when you break the build?
When I break the build, I go like this.
Crap.
I broke the build! And then I work like crazy.
Well, Dan Galpin broke the build this week, and this is what happened when he tried to fix it. And that was Tuesday. Hey, you know what? I can't get everyone here on the show, but I can ambush them at their desk. Have a question about a Google platform or anything really, let me know in the comments and I'll track them down with my selfie stick. Thanks for joining us here on The Developer Show. I'm Timothy Jordan, and I'll see you next week.